Welcome to Salad with a Side of Fries. I'm your host, Jen Trepic, talking wellness and weight loss for real life. We're here to clear up the myths, misinformation, bad science, and marketing to teach you how to eat and how to cheat. Are you ready? I'm having salad with a side of fries. This week, we're talking about oatmeal. And this one comes up a lot. First, because breakfast can be a meal where we don't want to spend a ton of time. And people often ask for alternatives to like eggs and veggies or some of the typical things that we go to like Greek yogurt and or even, Kite Hill yogurt that's, almond based and berries as an alternative to get our protein and fiber in the morning. So commercials then also tout how, oatmeal, it's good for your heart and all of the things. But really, oats, similar to rice, if any of you remember our rice nutrition nugget episode, it requires us to go a little bit deeper. So I looked at some labels so that we could have this conversation. So instant oatmeal has about 33 grams of total carbs, 3 grams of fiber, 4 grams of protein. And by the way, this is my childhood favorite, the maple and brown sugar flavor. So that one also had 12 grams of added sugar, but that aside, right? The other ones that I looked at were all plain. So like your quick 1-minute oats and interestingly, your old-fashioned oats both had 27 grams of carbs, 4 grams of fiber, 5 grams of protein, and some have 1 gram of sugar in them, even when they're not like sweetened. And so what's interesting though is like steel cut also tends to have those exact same nutrition facts. The 27 grams of carbs, 4 grams of fiber, 5 grams of protein. And so this is one where, although by the way, your steel cut is going to have no sugar, but this is really interesting because the nutrition facts and like the food label can't give us the whole picture. And it's why we have these conversations for us to really understand, because the difference is like we see the difference between the instant and like the old fashioned, but it's not that dramatic. But it is when we think about that processing and what happens in the body. So, instant rolled oats and old fashioned oats are all steamed and flattened. And that causes them to lose much of the bran, right? Much of the fiber. And they really lose the structure of the whole grain, consequently losing a lot of the nutritional value. And the smaller the pieces, right? So the difference between the instant, the quick, and the old fashioned is really the size of the pieces. They're just made smaller so that they cook faster. And really, as we've discussed before, the faster they cook, the more processed they are, the less fiber they have, and the faster our body absorbs that sugar, right? Or that fuel. On the other hand, though, steel cut oats are chopped with a steel blade so it's really the whole grain made into smaller pieces, and that maintains all parts of the grain. So it includes the bran, the endosperm, the germ, for the most part, all of the things. And this also means that it absorbs less water, or it really absorbs water less quickly, which means that it takes longer to cook and is ultimately better for our health. It's closer to the whole grain. So, provided you're eating steel cut oats, yes, you'll get the 5 grams of protein, 4 grams of fiber, very little fat, about 10% your daily value of iron, small amounts of, other vitamins and minerals that we need, like vitamin E and folate, zinc, selenium, like so many nutrients, provided we're eating the quality grain, right? So that also brings up the fiber piece of it. So the soluble fiber in steel cut oats also offers us beta glucans, which we've talked about before with connection to our immune health. They also support heart health and digestion. And you've probably heard of resistant starches, right? So resistant starches are the ones that are absorbed slowly into the system. So this means they help regulate our blood sugar and stabilize our blood sugar levels. So oats are a tremendous source of resistant starch that can also act as a prebiotic, right? Supporting our diverse microbiome and the growth of healthy gut bacteria. But we have to make sure we're getting the steel cut with all of that bran for that resistant starch. And like we see on the packages, and we've all heard, and I think it's part of why oatmeal became so big the last few years, is the heart health benefits. And, you know, it is based in science, but paying attention to the type of oats we eat is really important. So, research shows that oat varieties that have been minimally processed, like the steel cut that we're talking about, may have greater heart protective effects than the processed oats because of the greater content of fiber. So, intact fiber may lower cholesterol more efficiently than fiber that's been broken down, which we know. So, my tips for getting in your steel cut oats, because they do take longer to cook, I like to make them, you know, maybe on a Sunday night or one night while you're making dinner. You can put a pot on the stove, make a batch of the steel cut oats. There, you can also Google, there's some ways online to use like a slow cooker. And then once they're cooked, put them into individual containers, throw them in the fridge. And then in the morning, you just heat up the one portion, and it takes about the same as much time as your instant or quick cooking oats. And I think the steel cut tastes delicious. Like, you could add berries, some nuts, nut butter. If you use frozen berries, by the way, like when they heat, it sort of creates like this berry syrup almost, like kind of amazing. Um, I think it's super sweet. Like, I don't need, sweeteners with it. You could add a little Greek yogurt if you do that, or another kind of yogurt. You can make them a little creamy that way. Or you can make them into a pancake by adding some egg whites if you eat that. So, lots of tips. Sophia, I'm going to put you on the spot.
Go for it.
Any tips for steel cut oats or variations with that?
I will tell you that, I have a recipe. I use, rolled oats, but you also use I've used steel cut before as well. Um, and this is might be out of people's range of like, "Oh my gosh, what?" I make them savory
Yes.
because sometimes we want a savory breakfast. I'm more of a savory person for breakfast than a sweet, like, it kinda depends. But I have a, savory spinach and cheese oatmeal recipe, and it's so good, and it's very similar. You just like you would do a berry, you'd heat it, you just saute the spinach. I use a little bit of milk, and just a few different things to kind of bring that cheesy flavor without the cheese. And then I use my vegan parmesan in it, and it's so good. It's really good. And if
Amazing.
you eat eggs, you could always put some scrambled eggs in it if you wanted to, or even like a fried egg on top or whatever. But it's you can switch it up when it comes to oats. Like, they don't have to just be sweet.
Totally. I love it. So there you have it, guys. Oatmeal can be a great option provided we choose wisely, round out the meal with, you know, if we need additional protein or quality fat and more fiber with our veggies and our fruits. And remember, go for the whole grain, because that's, more work for our body. Remember, the more work a machine does, the less work our body does. Our body was designed to do that work, and so our blood sugar and our health and our well being and our energy will all be better for it. Sophia, thank you again for joining us today and sharing your tips and your strategies, all your insights.
Thank you for having me. It was amazing. Like, I had so much fun. So much fun. Even your rapid fire and my on the spot oats. I loved all that. It's great. And I actually oats sound really good right now all of a sudden.
Right. Totally. Maybe I'm going to have that right now. So, everybody, be sure, click the link in the show notes for Sophia's flavor combination guide. And I'm Jen Trepic, your host. Connect with me on Instagram at Jen Trepic, JenTrepeck, Facebook, all the places, same handle. Send me a message. You can also go to our website, asaladwithasideofries.com. I'd love to hear from you, your takeaways, your ideas, any questions. This is also the easiest way to learn more about working with me. Of course, if you're not already a member, join our membership program by going to glow.fm/salad with a side of fries to show your support for this podcast, this community, and most importantly, supporting your health. You'll get this week's recipe for the avocado chickpea salad collard wraps, your quarterly one-on-one session with me, and 50% off Sophia's Meal Systems Masterclass. So until next week, remember everybody, experiment a little to find what works for you to add more veggies. Start with ones you like. Think about your meals in terms of how much energy you have to prepare them, and think of it as a system. Then you'll watch the pieces fall into place. Well, friends, that's it for today's episode of Salad with a Side of Fries. Congratulations for making yourself and your health a priority. Thanks so much for joining us. Be sure to click subscribe or follow on your favorite podcast platform. Share us with a friend, and we'll be back next week. Always remember, you deserve it, and you are worth it. Happy healthy.